Well, good morning.
Hello.
Happy beginning of the week, middle of the week. Whenever you're watching this, as a matter of fact, happy today.
Hi, Starlights. Good morning. How is everybody? Are you ready for a great week this week? I know that I am. Are you?
Always.
Always. And good morning. If we want to have a beautiful week, and I know that you do too, you know, you've had a hopefully a good weekend, right? Whether you got the rest that you needed or you're either
maybe you went fishing, you caught some fish.
There are two things John Maxwell always says that you're doing. You're either repairing or preparing. So maybe some of you were repairing the week and kind of the damage that was done and the week that you had, or you're preparing.
I repaired the garbage disposal.
You repaired the garbage disposal, which you did on your own, which actually when he was done, I was like, do you want to grunt like you built fire? Because yeah, I feel like that was like, that could have been a thing for him to do. Like, oh, I've done it, like in Castaway when Tom Hanks was like,
I made fire. I replaced a small appliance.
Hey, no small feat. That thing was like pretty serious, man. We did the school thing on Friday, guys. It was awesome. These kids were so cute, and they would come in and they would be like, oh, we don't want to go to the next class. They didn't want to leave. Doug did little tricks with them and visualizations. Yeah, that trick, but he did visualizations with them as well, and they loved it so much. So it was a huge success.
Oh, I got it all backwards. Don't worry about
it. Okay. It went better at the thing.
Yeah,
okay?
It was a little bit better.
And then Elevie had her dance recital, and she killed the practice on Friday night, and then Saturday she couldn't see us, so she was like, oh, she was really nervous, but it was cute though. She did a great job. Her little friend came along. So it's a brand new week, a brand new opportunity. Amen. Hallelujah. A new week is here, a new chance to live our goals, to reach our dreams, to become who we know that we are called to be, to do a better job even than we did last week, or just to cut ourselves a break. Whatever it is that we need to do or want to do this week, there are some things that we want to give to you on a Monday that are going to help you take your life to the next level and reach your fullest potential, right? So we're going to talk about seizing opportunity today. John Wooden said, the great basketball coach said, when opportunity knocks, it's too late to prepare. And so we want to be ready to seize our opportunity, right? Whenever it shows up. But we have to ask ourselves, what prevents us from seizing opportunity? The only opportunity we have in front of us today is Monday. It's this day that is in front of you right now. But what prevents us from really squeezing all the juice? That's what your specialty is, right? What are the things that prevent us from seizing opportunity?
See if anyone has any thoughts on that. Chime in if there's something that you know you've caught yourself getting stuck. Let's see if we're on the same path for a moment. And because it's important that we have awareness, right? And then that when we catch it, it's important that we were able to catch it, because we're all going to fall. We're all going to have challenges. We're all going to have obstacles, but it's how quick can we notice it and catch it. And what we're going to talk about is actually a pretty simple thing that we don't realize it takes us out sometimes. It's something that we can use to our benefit. Like there's wisdom in what we're going to share in a moment that we do. When we do it, there's a purpose for it. And then are we using it to our advantage or to our disadvantage? Because they're helpful in some contexts.
All right. So the first thing that prevents us from seizing opportunity, it's really just two things. It's what I call the dance of denial. It's living in the past or living in the future and not living in the present moment. And so the first thing that we do is we live in the past. Yesterday ended last night, right? Thank you again, John Maxwell. In fact, half the things that I say probably came from him. So if I have to quote him every time, he's one of my mentors. I'm going to be like, it's going to get really old. But anyway, yesterday ended last night. But what we do is, it's Monday. Here's this brand new opportunity. And what we do is we live in the past of last week. And we're like, oh man, last week sucked. Last week, I did not get the thing that I wanted to do. Last week was a terrible week. I know that I'm going to meet that same client again this week, or I'm probably going to have that same objection, or that same coworker is going to do their dumb stuff they always do on a Monday morning. So you go in with that anticipation of what happened.
So we drag the past and pull it all the way and throw it right in the future. Like, oh no.
Or the past, guess last week was great. So it works in two ways, right? So last week sucked and we drag that in, or last week was great. And so now we slack a little bit. We don't feel like, oh, Monday I can relax a little bit. I don't have to do what I had to do last week because last week was great. You know, so we stop putting the energy in and the effort in, and we want to coast a little bit, but you only had the success last week because of what you did the week before that. And so there are a couple of things like on the big picture, like we're just going week to week, but when we think about the past in general, I remember one time I went roller skating. I love to roller skate. I don't know if you do, but it is so fun. And I was roller skating, and there was this guy, and he had on the tightest pants you ever saw, right? And he had like a mullet, and he had like a Def Leppard t-shirt, and now mind you, I kind of look like Def Leppard sometimes with my fanny pack, but this was before it was like back. And so he was roller skating, and he was like roller skating around, and it looked like he was from the 80s, and he just never quite got the memo that it's a new, you know, hello, times have changed. But what I know for sure is like in that movie Napoleon Dynamite, when the uncle is like living in this, Uncle Ricky is like living in the glory days when he was the football star. I used to do that too. There have been times in my life when I've been really unsuccessful, but I kid myself and I don't look at my reality of where I'm at, because I go, oh, I used to be an international business consultant. I used to do this. I used to travel around the world. Well, honey, yesterday ended last night. What am I doing today? Who I was is not who I am. And so it's important for me. Why is that important for me not to rest on my successes or my failures? Because it dilutes the present moment for me. It doesn't help me do anything with this moment today. It gives me the delusion that things are better than they used to be, or things were better then than they are now. And either way, it gives me a false sense of where I really am in my life. And so yesterday ended last night. It's a brand new day. It's like we take that big easel and we just wipe it clean and we say, okay, what am I committed to today? Who do I need to be today in order to become who I'm becoming?
Oh, that's my turn?
Yeah. Now it's your turn.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Whew. Trying to
preach. When we used to teach
at
the treatment center, it was so cool because sometimes I'd get like one sassy girl in the front who would be like, and I would be doing it. She'd be like, oh, that's good. I know that's right. And I'd be like, I was thinking,
amen, honey.
I was like, I'm in church and I love my life. When I would have some participant like that, that would yell at me like that, I would love it.
So what I was saying earlier about how these are important to remember, right? So we want to, of course, like if you're having a bad day, if you're in that moment, it is valuable to remember what you're capable of. That doesn't mean live there. That means that reminder, but that's that's the dance where we get stuck sometimes. We go, well, I start feeling good about yourself because of what you've accomplished, but you only do that to get back into a resourceful state so that you could start taking your actions again.
That's a good point.
Right? So we're not saying ignore the past. We're just saying don't live in it exclusively. Don't use that as your fear to thrust forward. Use it as your confidence to thrust forward, in that you know you've done something great in the past, which means you could do something great in the future, but you still have to take the actions. That's a reminder to overcome those fears that you may be having because of past pains as well, or future fears because you may not know 100%. But if you look back at almost everything that you and I have created, that have succeeded at, we didn't really know what we were doing. We didn't really have it locked down. So we could just remember that if we're a little curious, if we're maybe like we have some trepidation because we're not sure how that's going to go, we could always remember that we never really knew. We had an idea, but it never happened exactly the way we thought it was going to.
Yeah.
So it's really valuable to do that, to use them to your advantage. The other thing sometimes will happen is, let's say you have a course of action that you're taking, and you get some of the results from some of the past work, right? So you did that work and all of that, and then maybe you didn't have to work as hard. It seemed like something fell into your lap this morning, but you had it on your agenda. Okay, I'm going to make X amount of calls. I'm going to do X amount of follow-ups. I'm going to reach out, whatever your thing is for the day that you're going to do, but you get a success from one of the past days of doing all of those things, and then go, I just on my lap today. I don't need to make those 5 calls because I already got what I needed from it. And we forget that that was from the past diligence, that we were, we have to notice our discipline. Are we willing to still do the work even when we're getting some of the results that we're committed to in the first place, right? A lot of times that happens when, it's okay to say, like using diet and exercise. Like, let's say you hit your goal weight or whatever. That doesn't mean run out and have a Big Mac.
Oh.
It means have a Whopper. No, it means that you've now succeeded, celebrate, and achieving your goals, and still do the work so that you can keep it, right? Step 1, get the weight off. Or step 1, earn the money. Step 2, keep the weight off or keep the money. And then step 3, of course, is now invest. So if you've worked your health to a certain point, now you have a new level of energy. What does that mean? You now have new opportunities to go out and take even more actions, to give even more of yourself, to go that extra mile with your family, with your child, you have that extra money, do that extra investment, find a way to add even more value to yourself. And that comes from being present to also the future of what you want. You got to have goals. It doesn't mean live in the future. That means know where you're going, right? You've got to have that. You got to have an outcome, but then you stay present as to, are these the things necessary, doing the things necessary, the emotions necessary to get us to the next level.
My turn now. No, I'm just kidding, right? Wow. So you go on a rant too, right? I mean, it's not just
I had to, otherwise.
Oh, Doogie. This is the challenge. People always ask, they say, how do you have 2 people that are both speakers and both do the same? How do you guys like do this dance? And sometimes we're like, yeah, it's like sometimes, oh yeah, I want to get in there. But it's like, yeah, you're doing this greatest play or act thing that you love to do that brings you so much joy. You're chomping at the bit to get in there, right? It's like a player on a field. You're all on the same team, but the coach goes, all right, you're in, or you're up, or whatever. So you play together. But
are you saying you benched me?
But sometimes you get to run the ball, and you're like, yes, in your glory, right? So you ran the ball. I'm going to run the ball, right? That's how we share the team. But so the future. I'm glad you said that, because the future is another thing for me. That's what prevents me from seizing opportunity and living in the moment. Like that would screw up my Monday more than anything, coming from anxiety. So the future of like worry, like, oh my gosh, how I'm so overwhelmed. Look at all this I have to make up, or look at all these things I need to accomplish this week, or wow, look at my goals seem like really too big. It's already almost the end of the month. And, I start to like have this conversation with myself that puts me in paralysis mode. Or I play this other game with myself where I start to envision the future, and I get really sucked in, and I see myself signing books at Barnes and Noble, right? You get what I'm saying? I see myself, giving the big speech to 5,000 people, and then I can pretend it's like porn for the entrepreneur. I run my highlight reel of the things yet to happen in my life, and then I trick myself into feeling successful, and then I feel so good and get that flood of dopamine that I don't do what I need to do to make my dreams real. And that's a little thing that I'm going to be vulnerable enough and say, I do that. I could get into daydream mode and just be like, yeah, I can imagine all these things about myself, and then I'm doing nothing. The reality is I'm not doing what I need to do, because imagining the big book signing or imagining the talking to 5,000 people is less sexy than going to the hair salon and going, I know you talk to a lot of clients. Some of them need relationship help or in dysfunctional situations. Here's my card. I have a great referral fee. That's not sexy. I don't want to imagine myself hitting the pavement, going to like all these places, and like B2B stuff. Like that's not sexy, but that is the thing that I need to envision today to live into tomorrow. So value the vision, but the power's in the present moment. Right.
So the vision, you want that vision to be big enough and feel it enough so that you can remember that when you're doing the unsexy stuff, the door knocking, the prospecting, the follow-ups, all the things that are not fun. It's like have you ever seen those memes about, someone has this job, like I can use, the music as one of the first things, like, what my friends think I do, right?
Yeah.
And then, it has like some real cool thing, and what my parents think I do, right? What my girlfriend thinks I do, or boyfriend thinks I do. and what the social media thinks I do and what I really do. And like, music was never as glamorous as it seemed. It had moments of it.
What people think I do, you're a rock, you're like, with all these fans, what you really do, you're in the studio with headphones. Like
or on a tour bus, all cramped in, or a van. We didn't even have a bus, like in a van, sleeping in that, trailing something, driving ourselves, lugging gear, right? For the hour that we're on stage, the hour we're talking to people afterwards, 23 of those hours were spent like doing crap. Same with us, like, like we make the joke about the glamour of speaking. We're going up, setting up events, moving chairs, then in the room, putting up gear, doing all this stuff for that period of a training, which is awesome. But then there's all the other work
there's a whole like our next event is in August. And for now, like, that's the thing. Like, we can live into that vision. We can be like, yes, we can't wait to serve those people. That's going to be a one day. It's going to be so amazing. Everybody's going to transform. But we have to do what we need to do today to let people know about that event, enroll people in that event, and continue down. And so that's the less sexy stuff, the less glamorous stuff. Oh gosh, do we want to run an ad, Facebook ad? Do we want to do it? It's just like, but that's the necessary stuff every day. And we can't get overwhelmed. We can't be like, oh God, that's going to be so hard. And how are we going to, fill the room? And what are we going to do? And how are the right people going to come? It's just ridiculous, right? We can't live in the anxiety of the future, and the vision has to outweigh the scariness, right? It's just scary. It scares in a really good way. But when I get that vision of helping all those people, or taking that big leap, or holding a retreat or a seminar or whatever, I'm not focused on the how necessarily. At the time, I'm focused on the feeling I know that we're going to have when we're in that room, and people's lives are being transformed, and people are just, wow, having a whole new understanding, revelation. Like that to me is the most beautiful thing in the world. But I'd be an idiot if I didn't go back after that vision and look at the logistics and reverse engineer my goal. And I know a lot of people are like me. We don't like to do the unsexy stuff. We'd rather just vision, and we're dreamers and planners, and we want to.
The secret says all I have to do is sit in the chair and pretend I'm in the car of my dreams.
I love to do that too. I love that. I'm a visionary too, and so are you, right? But that's not what today's built for. Today is the toiling in the garden of your own life. It's out there literally planting the seeds, pulling up the weeds, getting the land ready, and preparing for that big harvest. And most of the time, fall is an extremely short season. The whole rest of the year, we're preparing, canning, all of that. So let's not forget that. Persistency is usually something I'm good at, but I feel like a slave when I lost my passion for what I'm doing. Then the anxiety hits about a whole have to. Yeah. So
right, go ahead.
There's a fine line between knowing, because passion is supposed to wane. You're built on, your feelings are fleeting. And so we're not supposed to feel passionate about something all the time. And 9 times out of 10, like in a marriage, if I don't have passion, and in work, I don't have passion, usually it's something that I need to bring. I need to bring the passion. I need to find a way to get excited about what I'm doing, or get in that flow state and enjoy the things I'm doing. And that's their skills. Those are skills we master. Other times now how do you know the difference if it's my skill or my circumstance? 9 times out of 10, you will not know if it's your circumstance or your skill until you actually get in there and put some skill. And you do the things you need to do to get yourself motivated, to bring the passion, all the skills that you need. And if you've done that and you're still not passionate, then it's time to say, maybe it's my circumstance, and maybe it's my relationship with this thing, and not my relationship that I bring to this thing. Because 9 times out of 10, the grass isn't greener because you're the grass, right? And you just keep taking the grass with you from job to job to job.
And a thing that you can play with is a little bit of linguistics here. As soon as you say, I have to do something, your brain automatically goes, ugh, I have to. Now that, the oppositional defiant part of you starts coming up, the little kid, like, don't tell me what I got to do.
Well, that's good for Amanda, because she knows that she is that
right.
oppositional.
So
she has that like fighter in her.
Right. So then now the have to, what if you change that to I get to, right? I get to do this. I have the opportunity to do this. I'm blessed to have this opportunity, right? These are quality problems that we have. Like, if we're going on in life and we're going for some, big audacious goal, and we understand that there's going to be some work involved that isn't necessarily something we're going to enjoy doing, that there's parts of it, like in anything, fishing, like people love to fish. Well, there's parts of fishing that kind of suck. Like, you got to get yourself to the boat. You got to pack up. You got to, like, there's all these things. So you get to the boat and you're like, woohoo, right? And then you're done. Then you got to clean up. Then you got to do all that stuff. And, the gift there is I get to do that. Like, I get to go fishing. I get to go speak. I get to go write. I get to go perform. I get to go do whatever that is. And I get to do all the things necessary to get there, which is why the other side is so sweet. That's one of the reasons why it is so beautiful, because all of the things that you did to do to get there, and then you got to do it.
Like, if climbing the mountain were easy, nobody get to the top and feel so euphoric.
Right.
They'd all just be like, meh. Right. The euphoria is in the climb. The euphoria is not in the top, the view. It's in the climb. And so finding a way, like, there's this book called Flow. I can't pronounce the doctor's name because it is crazy, but that's, about how to get into a flow state, is finding ways to enjoy the thing that you're doing. And, Buddhist monks and Zen masters have known this for centuries, that it's really about finding joy in the mundane and being in the present moment and learning how to make, even that enjoyable. And a quite good question to ask yourself on a Monday when you're about to go into all these tasks and these things that are like less sexy, not cute, is how can I make this more enjoyable? Writing for me is not sexy, but I know on Mondays I've got to plan out my content for the whole week. I've got to write all my posts. I've got to plan out my videos. I got to do all that stuff. And it's like, how can I make that more enjoyable? Well, I make sure I have my best mug and my coffee and a really great pen and a leather-bound journal that I love to use. And I make sure I have my music going that makes me feel inspired. I work out before I do it so I don't have that looming over me. I take care of, I wake up and feed my mind and prepare my spirit to take on today's activities. And so anything that you're doing, you can make more enjoyable. It's like life. I said this last time, like, life is a buffet of sex, and you're stuck in the missionary position wondering why you're not having any fun. Well, sex is meant to be enjoyable, and so is life, but it's not always that much fun if you're stuck in the missionary all the time, right?
Or
so
if you go into it going, I have to do this
again, that I hear you now, buddy. Oh, girl, right. So how can you make your life more exciting? You can make sex boring if you try hard enough, right? Well, think about that for a minute. We can make sex boring if we just work hard enough to make it that way.
And that's the secret to success, is finding a way to enjoy the things that are not as much fun. What can we do to enjoy it? Right?
Oh, okay. We'll come over here.
So you have some Monday morning messages?
Do you have any motivation for Monday for our friends?
I don't know what that is.
You don't know what motivation?
Motivation is where you feel like you can do it. You have like this little feeling in your tummy or your heart that says, I believe in myself. I'm going to have a good day. We always say every morning, are you going to have a good day today? Sometimes you want to, and sometimes you're like, meh. But how do you
have a good today?
Motivation is like getting excited for your day. Do you want to say anything to your friends?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well,
good job.
Let's talk to our friends. Do you want to say anything to your friends?
Okay,
all right. Well, we hope you have a really great day today. And
okay, you singing?
All right. Well, write your questions in too. If you have any other questions, if you're interested in the event that's coming up in August 10th to spend one day with us, immersion is the fastest path to mastery, is come in and spend an entire day getting your questions answered, getting your stuff, being brought to the surface in a safe environment. We'll put the link in here so you can sign up for that. There's an early bird registration. And otherwise, we love you. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow morning. We hope you have an exceptional day today. And as always, we love you.
Yes, we do.
For who you are
and who you are. And
I was about to say that.
Well, go ahead. Do it.
My name is Eloise, and your name is Charisma, and we love who you are, and who you are. I'm melting.
You're melting.
Okay.
Sometimes you feel like the witch in your life. I get it. I do too. Dun, 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 dun. Sometimes you gotta bring out the broom.
Okay, gonna say bye-bye.
Bye.
We love you.
Subscribe to our video. Bye.
Subscribe to our video.
Subscribe
Bye.
to our video to watch more LV McGurk videos from Mom and Heidi and Doug and LV Rain McGurk. Bye.
Bye. Love you.